this is a workflow that I've been using for a while now. So Blender does wrap 4D, then I set up the UD materials. So how do I go about this? First off, I open DAS and I load in the Genesis 9 base model for the mill like this, and then under the parameters mesh resolution I set the subdivisions all the way down to 0 for the various parts of the character like this. Every part of the character I set it to the lowest subdivision. Okay, so I don't need this. I'll hide the eyebrows. Cool. Then I'll turn on texture shaded. Okay, so once I do this, what I'll do next is I'll locate all the texture maps of this particular character. So I'll click on it and then I'll go to browse. So it will open up where the textures are. Then I simply copy the root path, then I cancel. Then I open the Explorer and then I just paste over there. So I get access to all the maps. So I'll just copy it and then I would save it somewhere on my computer. So YouTube and textures, paste. Alright, so I have all the maps over here. Cool. The next thing I'll need to do is I'll have to export the mesh into Blender. So I'll select the Genesis 9 model, come to File, Export, Autodesk FBX, and I come to the exact place that I saved the textures. So Projects, YouTube, right here, and Base Mesh. Alright, so over here I would check Selected Only, and then okay, everything is cool. Collect textures to check, then I just accept. Then I wait for it to export to the folder. Alright, cool. It is done. It's right here. So I'll also import the base mesh into my scene like this. Import FBX. Okay. So I'll hide my stylized character. Now I only need the body. I don't need the various parts that comes with it. So I'll apply the armature modifier. Then I'll delete all groups. Then Alt P, clear parent, and then keep transform. Then I'll hide this mesh too. So over here, probably for this tutorial, I'm not going to need all these parts. So I'll just delete everything and unhide everything again. So I have this. Great. Now the size doesn't matter here. The important thing that you need to take note of is where the fingers are placed. They need to be approximately close to each other. I mean every single finger. Otherwise, when we proceed to the next step, we'll get a lot of errors. So what I'll do is I will select my transfer mesh, the DAS model. I'll come into sculpt mode, then I'll pick the pose brush. So what I'll use that for is to try and align the hand to the way the base mesh is aligned, something like this. Okay, it's somehow close. Alright, and then I'll align the whole arm like this. Okay, let me turn it again. Alright, cool. So this is cool because all the joints are close to where they are supposed to go. Alright, so the next step I would do the same for the legs too. Back in sculpt mode, then I'll pose the legs to match. Okay, I'll just keep posing. Alright, so these ones too are close. So I can come in and pose the toes individually. So this is cool. They are aligned fairly well. So now what I'll do is I'll export the meshes out. So this is a stylized character. This is a transfer mesh, and then this is the mesh that's going to take the shape of this stylized character. If I check the wireframe, they are all having good topology, but then I'll need this mesh to have a lot of resolution in order to have a smooth transfer. So I'll simply add a subdivision to it, then I'll apply. So now I have a lot of resolution on it. Cool. So I'll bring back the mesh to its original position, then I'll export it. So export OBJ. The software only accepts OBJ imports. I don't know why. Maybe that's their limitation. So leave front OBJ file. Then I'll come into the same folder and meshes. So I'll call this stylized mesh. Then select it only, and then I'll export this to OBJ main mesh. Okay. So we are done in Blender for now. So I'll switch to the software wrap 4D. So this is how the software looks, and it works with nodes. I've already set up the nodes that I will need for the transfer, so I don't have to start from scratch. I've saved it as a template. So what I'll do is for the first load geom, if you want to, okay, so if you want to add nodes, you just press tab, or you can right click and then you just pick. So load geom, that's it over here. Select, you come under selection, you find select points, and then wrapping, you come under alignment, you find wrapping, then load save, you find save geom, which is also here. So these are the nodes that you use for it. So for the first one, I will load in my DAS model. So I'll browse into the folder, then I'll import. So it will pop up over here like this. And then for the next one, I will load in my stylized mesh like this. So now I have all the meshes here. So the next point would be to click on the select point first. Now when I do that, I won't see anything yet. So I'll have to switch to the next tab, the third one, the visual editor. Then I get it like this. Cool. So I'll check sync views for, so that way when I rotate, they both respond at the same time. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create points on the meshes. So the exact point that I'll create has to match the other meshes onto. So say I create a point here, 1, 2, 3, 4. They must all follow the same order. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll proceed to the other side to and do the same thing. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, cool. Then 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'll create points on the nose bridges too, like this. Alright, cool. And then the important parts, the fingers. So what I do is I add points in between the gaps of the fingers like this. Okay, then I do the same thing for this side too. Okay, then from here I add individual points to the joints. 1, 2, 3. I repeat the same thing here. 1, 2, 3. So this is more joints. So the next one 4. So we repeat the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we continue to the last finger. Okay, so now I repeat the same thing over here. So 1, 2, 3. Then 1, 2, 3, 4. Then repeat 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so moving on to the next hand, I'll repeat the same process. So what I'll do is I'll add the points in between the fingers for each side. Now with all these points, we can go ahead and then proceed to the next step and see what will happen. So the next one, I'll click on wrapping, then I'll get something like this. So over here, all I have to do is click on compute. Then I wait for the software to do its thing. So I can move around and see if it is properly doing it as intended and not messing it up. Alright, cool. You did a good job. So I'm waiting for it to finalize, then I switch to my viewport. It's done. And it did a good job. It was able to capture the details for me and wrap properly. So now the next step will be to come to save geom, and then I'll pick the location where I want to save it at. So I'll go to the same folder, then I'll save it over there. So meshes, then wrap meshes. Okay, now just give it a name, maybe base wrap, like this. So to actually save it, I'll need to click on compute current frame. It will save it into my folder. So switching back to Blender, I will push all these meshes aside. Then I would import the one I just exported. So this. And now as you can see, it has used the DAS model I provided to wrap around this mesh. Then I have this result. Pretty cool. So the positive side about this, I can use DAS's UV maps, this map. I still have it intact over here. It hasn't changed. And I can project all of the textures for DAS onto this over here. So let's get into that. The materials we exported from DAS, this is where we use them. But then in order for UDIMS to recognize that, okay, these materials are all one UDIMS, we need to change the naming convention a bit. So I would change all the diffuse maps. So they're all with D, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Or rename them into albedo, or it can be any name that you want, but make sure you are keeping the numbers at the end. So albedo, like this. Then I'll change this one to albedo, keeping the numbers at the end without touching it. Okay, all right, and then think finally the nails. Okay, so I have all the video maps over here. Now for the normal maps too, I'll do the same thing. I'll name it normal, maintaining the numbers at the end. Then I'll continue for the rest. Okay, so all the normal maps are set. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. Now I'll continue to the roughness. Alright, so now you've named everything properly. So back in Blender, I would delete all the material slots like this. Then I'll create a new one. So with the new one created, I would copy the file path of the textures. Then I would create a PBR material for this. So before I can do that, you need to make sure that the Node Wrangler add-on is activated in the add-ons tab. Just search run and you would find it, Node Wrangler. Right. So once done, I can just press Ctrl plus Shift plus T. Then I paste the file path I copied. So over here, what I have to do is select just one map of the various maps. So our video just one, subsurface just one, normal just one, roughness just one, then AO just one. Cool. Then I'll just click on principal texture setup. So now I have this, but then the materials are all messed up on the character. So how do we fix that? Now remember we are using a UDIM workflow. So in order for it to work properly, you need to change the settings from single image to UDIM tiles, and it will snap into place like this. So you do that for the rest of the parts like this. Alright, and then finally, okay. So now I have a stylized character with all the textures set up for it. Okay, I think there's one missing, which is the news. Alright, so for the news, the reason why it wasn't showing up was an error in the naming. So remember, I was like, you have to name them properly. So now when I come back and then I re-apply the materials, hopefully it should work now. So I'll do that again. Cool. So now it's worked. So the next step is actually making the mesh symmetrical, because right now it is not symmetrical. They are different. If you check the legs, you can see. So what I'll do is I'll just select the mesh, go into sculpt mode, then the direction I just switch to the side which is looking good. In this case is the left side, so I'll switch from negative to negative, then symmetrize. Cool. So now everything is set and ready to continue. Okay, yeah. So this is the workflow from going from a simple mesh like this to a stylized looking realistic character mesh. Yes. So right now I'm just going to figure out how I'm going to make the thumbnail look. That's it for the tutorial.